not sure. Good evening.
Good evening.
World.
I see the other is running a little late tonight. All right, we got a relatively short daf. At least on the base. Okay, so we have a Machlokes in the Mishnah. Sorry, not in the Mishnah, in the Gemara, between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yosi Haglili, as to which direction you sprinkle the blood. The Kohen sprinkles the blood on the Mizbeach Hazab. Right? So now the Gemara is going through different pshatim in the Machlokes. What are they having a Machlokes about? All right. So now the top line on Nun Tesam Aleph. So where it says V'ba Yisema, or we could say that why Rabbi Yosi Haglili and Rabbi Akiva have different order of which corners he puts the blood onto his Mizbeach. Because if we say that he goes around with his feet, meaning he has to walk around to each corner of the Mizbeach, then everybody holds that you're going to learn out the inside Mizbeach from the outer Mizbeach, from the large Mizbeach, right? But here, what's the Machlokes? Marsavar Hakafa Biyad. One says, right, Rabbi Akiva holds that you don't go around, you don't walk around, you just stand in one place and you put your hand on all four corners. Umar Sava, right, again, it's only an amma by an amma. The Mizbeach Hazov is only an amma by an amma. An amma is a foot and a half, go a foot and 3/4. That he doesn't have to walk around for that. He can just stand in one place.
Are you dipping your hand inside what you're pouring it on? Or you're
no,
he's
rubbing, not rubbing. What's the word? He's smearing it on.
So I'm saying each time he's putting his hand back in the kli?
I think so.
So then it's not really going around by hand because each time he's going back.
You mean because he has to pull his hand back?
Yeah, I'm saying he's going in order, but he's not really walking. Like if you're walking around, you're walking and you're not going back to the starting point every time.
Right.
Whereas with the hand, he's going back to the starting point every time.
I hear, but that does it have to be straight or it just means he's
I don't know. I'm just pointing it out. I don't know.
I thought it's just in the order, so he can pull the hand back, but it could be. It's just assumption in my head that he doesn't. Can't imagine he's having enough blood on his hand to rub all four corners. No.
Right. So it's not really a hakafa bayad because he's going back each time.
Correct. So it's not a direct. It's not a direct going around. Yeah, I hear that, but it's still totally in order.
It's like by lulav, by the dalit minim. The fellows who mamish make, you see him pull it back.
Correct. Each time they bring it back inside to them. Correct.
Yeah, them guys who mamish,
What are you saying?
I'm just saying the people who are very marked in the dalit minim, the way they pull it back to them, so they go out, then they pull it back and hold it, and then they go. That's what Shmuel David's saying about the dam.
You mean how they shake the lulav and esrog?
Yeah. It's very deliberate. People who are very deliberate in doing it.
I mean, they do it very slow like that.
Like a stop, like a stutter step. Yeah.
Right. I hear that. Yeah, so I don't know. Does anybody know did anybody see if he what the Kohen Gadol does it? How does he bring it back and dip his hand in each time? Or is it just once? Anybody know for sure? I don't know. They don't have any of the videos.
I mean, if I read the art scroll, the English, which he's basing it on Rashi, the Kohen Gadol remains standing in one place and simply moves his arm around the altar to place blood on each of its four corners. That doesn't say he's bringing it back and forth each time.
Right, but that's the order, no?
Is that the order? But he's saying he simply moves his arm around the altar to place blood on each of its four corners. That means he's in one motion almost, like he's not. I don't know that he's saying it from Rashi.
Right, but I'm saying that's just because he's describing the order, no? Okay, I don't know. I'm not sure if it has to be a direct, as long as that's the order that you go. It doesn't the old Daf have a video of the Kohen Gadol and doing the Avodah? Or it's just a video of the Beis Hamikdash? I know that would be an odd way of trying to find out an answer to this question, but yeah. Anyways, okay, so let's see. So again, we're saying that we learn out the inner Mizbeach from the outer Mizbeach, meaning the Mizbeach Hazav, the inner one, which was the small Mizbeach. We learned it out from the outer. So what's the Machlokes of Yosi, Haglili, and Akiva? Marsavar Akafa Biyad. Rabbi Akiva holds that it's Akafa Biyad. Right? Yeah. So it's totally different. Lamaisa, the placing is different than the way it was on the Mizbeach HaChitzon. Because the Mizbeach HaChitzon, you couldn't possibly stand in one place. It's massive. Right? It's massive, that Mizbeach. Umar Savar Akafa Beregel, one holds it's Akafa Beregel, so therefore you can learn out it's done the exact same way. Right? Fine. That's one teretz. Anybody saying could say another difference in why Rabbi Akiva and Yosi Haglili disagree in the order on the order of which corner of the Mizbeach you put the blood. The Kuliyama Akafa Biyad. Everybody holds that you do the Akafa Biyad, meaning you go around just with your hand and not with your feet. Rabban, that would be a lot of people do that by Simchas Torah. Once you're comparing it to Sukkot, they do Akafas Biyad, not Beregel. No, I'm not one. I think I'm one of those. But yeah, so Bahacha, right? This is the Machlokes. Mar Savar Yafin and Yad Miregel. One holds, Rabbi Yosi Haglili holds that you learn out the hand from the foot, which means the Mizbeach HaPnimi from the Mizbeach HaChitzon. Umar Savar, and one holds Lo Yafinan, we don't learn it out. Right, and so therefore it has its own way of putting on the blood. So Gemara says, can you possibly say that Rabbi Yosi Haglili holds that you just stand in one place and you just move your hand around on each corner of the Mizbeach Hazav? Right, the Seifa says of the Mishnah, the Seifa of our Mishnah says that Rabbi Eliezer says that he stands in one place and he smears the blood on each corner. Mechlal, the Tanakama lo yisvirulei. So that means that the Tanakama does not hold. That means the Tanakama holds you walk around. Right? So that means that that's Rabbi Yosi Haglili. The Tanakama in our Mishnah is Rabbi Yosi Haglili. So, and if Rabbi Eliezer in the Mishnah says he stands in one place, that means the Tanakama, who is Rabbi Yosi Haglili, says you walk around, so you can't possibly say that everybody says that you stand in one place. Okay, so we go with the original, the way we said an answer in the beginning. That the Machlokes is that one holds that you go around with, right? Rabbi Akiva holds that you go around with just the hand. And the other one says that no, you have to walk around to each corner. The Kohen Gadol walks around to each corner and smears on the blood. Is saying, or we could say another way of that they're arguing. Mar Savar Savar the Mizbeach Pnimi. Right? Rav Yosi Haglili holds that it goes around the Mizbeach HaPnimi. Kisaviv the Mizbeach HaChitzon and miilah. The way you go around in the inner Mizbeach is the same way you go around the outer Mizbeach. Right? Umar Savar Kulei Mizbeach Pnimi b'makam Chada Keren. The whole Mizbeach HaPnimi is considered like one corner of the Mizbeach HaChitzon. The Mizbeach HaChitzon Koi, because it said in miilah, that is like the Mizbeach HaChitzon. It's an interesting thing the Gemara is saying. How big was the Mizbeach HaPnimi? The Mizbeach Hazav was an amma by an amma. On the Mizbeach, on the outer Mizbeach, each Keren was an amma by an amma. That's how much bigger the Mizbeach on the outside was than the Mizbeach on the inside, right? So what he's saying, Rabbi Akiva is saying that we look at the Mizbeach Hazav as if it's a mini of the Mizbeach HaChitza, meaning that corner. We look at it as if we transplant that corner of the Mizbeach HaChitzon to the Mizbeach Hazav, right? So, and miilah, just when the Kohen Gadol stands by the outer Mizbeach, he's standing by that box. Again, each keren, right? Each corner of the Mizbeach HaChitzon was an amma by an amma, right? They were far away. What was the width of the Mizbeach HaChitzon? The width
32.
was 30, right? 32, right? 34? I did this mistake before once. 32? 22? 20?
What do you mean the width of the Mizbeach HaChitzon?
Just this, how big was it? How big
10
was
by
it?
10.
No, I thought it was something. No, it was more than that.
The Kevish was 32.
Oh, the Kevish was 32.
The Mizbeach was 10 by 10. From the Yosi, it was 10 by 10. On the top, it was 8 by 8.
Right, I'm sorry, right, it was 10. Right, the Kevish, right, the Kevish is, so it's 10 by 10, and each corner, right, had a square amma where it rose in the corner. That's why it's called keren. It looks like horns. So each one of those corners, it was the size of the inner Mizbeach. So Rabbi Akiva is saying, just like when the Kohen Gadol stood by each corner of the large Mizbeach, the Mizbeach HaChitzon, he was standing next to an amma by an amma, and he stood in one spot. So too in the Mizbeach HaPnimi, he stands in one spot. Right? So
How is that any different than saying Akiva Yad?
That's what he's saying.
This is an Ibai Sema. That was the first Ibai Sema.
Yeah, I mean, so why is this different? But so
What's
why
this
is
different?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure. I thought I saw something on that today, but I don't know. It seems to be the same.
I thought he was trying to say that.
Well, by the way, that's what I saw. Of course, I'm man. If I tell you, my memory is a gewalt. That's why the Gra. You see those boxes, the Aleph and the Beis in the Gemara, right? He takes the Iba Yasema out, and he learns that this is just an explanation of the previous opinion, and that it makes a lot of sense, because otherwise, what's it saying? It seems to be that at the end of the day, it's the same exact disagreement. Does the Kohen Gadol walk around, or does he stand in one place? Right? Yeah. So let's see. The Gemara explains it again. Tanya, Amar Rabbi Shmuel. Yeah, Rabbi Shmuel said, Shnei Kahanim Gedolim Nishtaru Mikdash Rishon. There were 2 Kahanim Gedolim left over from the Beis Hamikdash. Right? And again here the Gra says Rishon is in parentheses, and it really means by Yesheni. Yeah, but there were 2 Kahanim Gedolim left over. Zeh Omer b'yadei hikafti, and one said, I moved it around with my hand, meaning I stood in one place and used my hand. Zeh Omer b'ragli hikafti, and the other one said, I went around with my feet. So now we have, right? We love this, Rav Aaron, right? The conflicting eyewitness reports from Kahanim Gedolim, how each one of them did it different than the other.
Yeah, so the Teretz is that there was no Hakpada. You did it the way you wanted.
I guess so.
Yeah, you could do it the way you wanted. That's it. Yeah, they all felt they had that. They knew the halacha. That's it.
Yeah. So then what's the point of their edus?
And wait, and if they did it wrong, then they died?
They didn't do it wrong.
They didn't do it wrong.
Oh, there was no wrong.
There was no wrong in that.
But how can you have 2 Kahanim Gedolim still alive? Hello.
You could. Why not? You could.
Why? The guy lost his job. He retired. He gave him the card.
It was
about to say he resigned.
Maybe he retired.
Why would he resign?
Or maybe he got a mum and then he became Ois Kohen Gadol. The other one became Kohen Gadol. No big deal.
All right. Okay.
He was tired. It wasn't easy. He was still tired.
Right. What happens if he becomes Tameh? Don't we have the other one?
Yes.
Yes.
So
you have the
Baron, the Taisus Yeshanim says like you. He learns it's the bias Rishon, and he asks, at that point there's no Machlokes at that point, right? The Messiah, they still
right.
There was no Machlokes. So he says, vice dies from there that you could do it either way.
Thank you.
Very good. But the only thing is that then what's the point? They're just saying over what they did, he's saying. They're just saying over what they did. right? That's what you have to say.
No, that's how you getting rid of this machlokes. There's really, it doesn't matter.
You're right,
doesn't
and
matter.
you're also right.
You're right, and you're also right, Dave.
Yeah.
You're also
That's it.
right.
There you go.
And the Rebbitzon's also right. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Anyways, okay, so very good. So Zeoimer, again, Zeoimer b'yadi kafti. He says I went around with my hand. But Zeoimer b'ragli kafti. This one says he went around with his feet. Zenois and tam ledvarav, Zenois and tam ledvarav. This one gave reason to his words, and this one gave a reason. Zenois and tam ledvarav. Savad the Mizbeach b'miki, savad the Mizbeach achitza. The same way you walk around the outer Mizbeach is the way you walk around the inner Mizbeach, which is you have to walk. You couldn't stand, right? 10 amas by 10 amas. Nobody can possibly stretch that long, so you have to walk around. But as Zenos and this one gave the reason why he did it. Yeah, what are you saying?
Moshe Rabbeinu could stand still. You'd have the whole shalah by Moshe Rabbeinu.
What do you mean? Because she stuck out her hand?
No, Moshe Rabbeinu, who's 20 amas tall, so he could do it without moving down.
You mean that's what you mean? The height of Moshe Rabbeinu? Yeah, and he could have. Yeah, he could have. No, okay, Gershon doesn't like that. But anyway, so the other one gave a reason is Kula Mizbeach Pnimi b'Mokum Chada Keren Dechitzon Kai. The whole inner Mizbeach was the same size as the corner of the outer Mizbeach. It was an Amma by an Amma. Right? Yeah. Fine. So that's and that's why that's as if he stood in one place. Right? Because when the Kohen Gadol stood by each corner of the Mizbeach HaChitzon, he was standing in one place by a mini Mizbeach, let's call it that. That was an Amma by an Amma. So miilah by the Mizbeach HaPnimi, you also stand in one place by a Mizbeach. That's an Amma by an Amma, and then you can just move your hands around. You don't have to walk around.
So Yaakov, can you say according to that it's possible that not like the Gra, and you could say that Be'etzem, according to this later Svara, really, this is still considered regel because you didn't have to move. Meaning the only time it's considered biyad is when you'd actually have to move around, and you did a biyad anyways. Because you're able to stand, because it's like you're around all this, it's like you're in one corner, it's as if you're doing a regel. Because it's as if you're going around that one corner of what the Be'echlitzin would be. Meaning.
Okay, so what are you saying with that? So what is that?
That Be'etzem is beregel. That's considered beregel. You don't even have to move for it to be considered beregel.
You mean it's called beregel? So then what's
according
the other
to that shita? The other shita holds no. You actually have to make some attempt of actually moving beregel for it to work, and it has to be like the Mizbeach HaChitzon, mamash, where you move around.
I hear. Maybe you want to say that answers up.
That answers up if you don't learn like the Gra.
Right. I hear. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, I hear. If you're saying okay, but that's like the thst Yishonim, right? Is that like the thst Yishonim? That it would. No, that has nothing to do with it. That's different.
No.
Yeah, mixing it up. Yeah, mixing it up. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Okay, very good. So let's see weiter. Rabbi Eliezer says he stood in one place and he smeared the blood. Masnis and money, right? Who is our Mishnah like, right? So Rabbi Yehuda, it's Rabbi Yehuda because we're gonna have a Machlokes and what Rabbi Eliezer held. The Tani Rameir that Rameir said that Rabbi Eliezer Rameir said that Rabbi Eliezer's opinion was, but he stood in his place and he smeared the blood. And on all the corners, he smeared from top to bottom, except for the one that was diagonally across from him, right? There he had to stretch more than an amma, right? Because the diagonal is 2/5 more than the amma, right? So he had to stretch it further. There would be easier, like if this would be the Mizbeach, right? This would be the Mizbeach, lahavdol, right? An iPhone for the Mizbeach. Let's hope none of the Kanoim are watching. I guess they can't because they don't have internet. But anyway, so let's say this was the Mizbeach. So if he had to stretch across the diagonal, and he's going to go from top to bottom, he's going to get himself all dirty, right? So he went and he could push it from the bottom up, right? Like this, he stays clean, right? That's Reb Meir's shot in Rebbe Eliezer. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, that Rebbe Eliezer Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says that Rebbe Eliezer says, he stood in the same place. And on all the corners, he went from the bottom to the top. Except for the corner that he was standing right in front of right there. There he goes from top to bottom, the one that's directly in front of him, so that his clothing doesn't get dirty. Right? So another difficult machlokes to understand, because which one is it? Which way is we're having a machlokes now, which way is the easier way to not get your clothing dirty? Right? That's what comes out. That Reb Meir holds that from top to bottom will keep your clothing cleaner. And Rabbi Yehuda holds in Rabbi Eliezer that no, bottom to top will keep the clothing cleaner, and it's just a matter of. And another part of the machlokes is which one did he change from the other? According to Reb Meir, he did the one diagonally across from him, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, he did the one directly in front of him. Yeah. Okay, so that's that machlokes. He's a menu al tahara shel mizbeach. After he's finished smearing the blood on each corner, right? Then he did a hazah, right? He sprinkled onto the tahara shel mizbeach.
So I hate to say this, Rabbi Yaakov, so, but it could come out depending on the size of the kohen gadol. He'd have to move because he can get it close. You know, if Rav Moshe was not a kohen, right? How was Moshe 4 foot? Rav Moshe was 4 feet tall, so he'd have to move.
Oh, you mean if he was a very short kohen?
Yeah.
I guess he would have to move a little bit. Yeah. But then we could start by saying
it's good l'me'echav. You have to be taller.
That's true. But also,
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably say.
Do you think I'm taller than Rav Moshe was? Please, come on.
Yeah. Okay, so that he's a man about tahara shel mizbeach. So then he sprinkles it on the tahara shel mizbeach. My tahara. What is the tahara of the mizbeach? Samar Rabbi Bar Shila. Palgate the mizbeach. It's halfway up the mizbeach. Right? Kidamri inchi, like people say, like what the terminology that people use is tahar tiara. Right? Which means that it became shining. It shined. Right? Vahavi palge the yoma. When is the shiniest time of the day? Chatzos, halfway through the day. That's the shiniest. So palge means tiara. Right? Sounds like a little bit of a stretch, but again, tiara means shiny. When's the shiniest time of the day? That's palge the yoma. So that's why halfway up the mizbeach is where you do. That's what the tiara is. Okay, so Meisvei has the kasha on that kashu maza. When he sprinkles it, he doesn't sprinkle the blood straight on the ashes, and not on the coals. He moves the gacholim, he sweeps the gacholim away, right? Because the mizbeach was full of coals. So he didn't put it not on top of the ashes, not on top of the coals. He swept it each way, and then he sprinkled it. So you see clearly that it's on top of the mizbeach, not. Right, beferish. I mean, if he's sprinkling on, he's moving the coals out of the way. You can't say that that's halfway up the mizbeach. Right? So Elam Rabba Barashila, Al Gluya the mizbeach. What it means is it's on the revealed part of the mizbeach, on the goloi, the one that's open on the top. Right, and it says like what do you call it? And it's the sky looks the sky which is above, which is the top, looks טיהר, looks clean, right? So miiyla, we see that the word טיהר can mean the top. Fine. Tanya, so we learned that the brayso. Yeah.
I was going to ask before on the last Gemara, if he's standing in one place and doing ba'alachsim, how is he not getting burnt?
How high is the coals?
Either way, his arm's going right down over.
You can move the coals to the side with a little shovel there. Then
That's
just
with
be able
Hazoya
to do
here,
then he
with
does the
Nesina also.
diagonal stuff, and that's it.
Here you have a Gemara that needs to say that with the Hazoya. It didn't say that with the Nesina. I'm just curious if this is the same thing. Why did the Gemara say that there also?
I don't know. I hear. I thought the coals weren't so high, but it could
You
be
know,
on
but you
board
could move it
because
to the side. You could, yeah,
I saw the picture book, which didn't show very high coals. So today I was looking at a picture book, so it could be that picture book warped me. So I don't know, but that's I would think you can get your hands over it. Okay, fine. Tanya, Hananya,
no flames.
Yeah, there were no flames in the picture book. The coals looked very red. It looked very nice. It looked very nice. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think they had payas either to Kohen Gadol. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Tanya Chananya Omer, but Tzad Tzvaini Hu Noisen. Right. So where do you put the blood? Right. He's sprinkling the blood 7 times on top of his base. He puts it on the north side. Yosi Omer, but Tzad D'Raimi Hu Noisen. He puts it on the south side. Yeah. Has there been anything yet that's according to all opinions? No, really. I'm saying it's.
Are you asking in
We're-
Shas? Or you're just
we're
asking in
Jewish.
No,
Zohar?
I'm talking about Yom Kippur. There's not. I don't think we had anything yet from the avodah of Yom Kippur that's not a machlokes.
I think that the Shchitas HaTalmud is the first thing they do.
Okay, yeah, that's maskim. Okay, I guess. Yeah. Anyways,
Maybe it's because of all the Kahana that did it. The second,
That's because you do it every day. They wasn't going to change it to Yom Kippur.
Right, I hear. You mean because of Bayis
Yeah.
Sheni, they had corrupt.
There's so many
we didn't know
people
what to
corrupted
do.
it. Yeah, exactly.
I guess I hear that's a good point, but the thing is, the Gra, maybe the Gra changes from Bayis Sheni to Bayis Rishon, right? The Gemara, maybe that's why Itaka changes it from Bayis Rishon to Bayis Sheni, because they were left over Bayis Rishon. Then why are they having such a machlokes, right?
It
I mean,
also
whatever,
doesn't
that
make
gets back
sense.
into the
It doesn't make
Rishon.
sense to Tanaim. Like, how would they quote him? Like, who's quoting him? The Tanaim didn't. There weren't Tanaim around at that time. Like, who's
Right.
quoting
Yeah.
these? That the story doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, so with my committee, what's the machlokes? Why does one say you put it on the north side of the mizbeach, and why does some say why does Rabbi Yosi say you put it on the south side? So Marsav or Pischa B'Daram Koi, because one held it's in the Daram machlokes. Where was the Kodesh HaKadoshim? The entrance was in the Daram, it was in the south, right? So miilah, he's going to go to the corner, the first one that he gets to, right? Which is going to be the southeast corner. And Rabbi Yosi holds that the opening is in the north, meaning remember we said there's a paroiches, right? So there's a machlokes, which way he enters. Is the opening on the north side of the Beis Hamikdash, was on the south side. So depending on what you say, so you head to that corner, and that's where you work from. So
Also, if there was one or two, so you have the paroiches.
Yeah, no, but it was open on whichever
one
side.
side.
The inner one, the other one was the other side. The other one was open on the opposite. Right. So the
There was a
miilah.
Rashi yesterday that had it.
Yeah.
Why is he coming from the Kodesh Kadosh? He's coming from the Paroiches.
What? That's what I. Yeah. So what's the problem?
Well, what does the opening have to do with it? He's not coming from the Kodesh Kadoshim. He did the Ketairis. Then he went to the Kodesh Kadoshim to do the first Hazaya of the Par. Then he went back out of the Ulam to get the Par de Sawyer. He went back in with the Par of the Sawyer.
The dam.
Right, sorry, the Par of the Sawyer, the dam of the Sawyer, and went back to the Paroiches. Then he went back out and mixed the damin, went back in, and went to the Paroiches and did Hazaya by the Paroiches. Sorry, Hazaya by the Mizbeach Hazav. And then what? He didn't come from the Kodesh Kodashim anymore.
Rashi explains.
No, he came from the Kodesh Kodashim from before that.
This is after the Hazayas. He did the Hazayas on the Kronis, and now this is the last thing he does after that. Because it depends where you start from.
He didn't do Hazah on the Kronis. He did the what's it
This
called?
is after the Hazayas on the Kronis of the Mizbeach Apanim.
The Mechat on it, right?
Right.
Correct. Sorry, Mechata.
Right.
So
you put it on the premise.
the last current that you end up at, that's where you're ending up either in the north or the south, depending on who you hold like. So it's because of where you started from, where you end up is either in the north or south, depending on the sheet. That's the point of the Gemara.
And you never started with a Pesach. The Pesach of the Kodesh Kodashim.
Where you start from in the Kronos is totally in where you're coming out of in terms of the Pesach. That's the way Rashi explained it.
Meaning 2 steps before that, when he came out, he started in the corner, moved around. Yeah.
He didn't do it when he came out. When he came out, he went back outside of the ulam to mix the damim. Then he went back in and did the paraychas. So he's coming from the middle of the paraychas now to the Mizbeach Hazav. He's not coming from the Kodesh Kodashim.
Right, because he went back to mix the part, the dam and the part of the seer together. No,
right. Then he comes back in and does the paraychas. He doesn't go back into the Kodesh Kodashim.
I hear you, Kasha. Right, that's yeah. Taka, he's not right. He's not coming from the Kodesh Kodashim then.
Yeah, he is. He comes out and then he sprinkles against the paraychas. Then he goes to the Mizbeach to be mechaper.
No, because he first has to go get the blood of the par and the seer, mix it together. Right? He has to go get the par. When he sprinkles in the Kodesh Kodashim, he's going the blood of the par separately from the par of the seer. Then he goes back out and he mixes them together. That's when he starts putting it onto the Mizbeach Hazav.
Then he goes first to the paraychas. So he goes to the paraychas and does the paraychas.
Right.
Then he goes back to the Mizbeach Hazav.
Unless you say that he does it by the paraychas, by the opening. It could be that's what it is, Taka. Yeah. He's doing it by the paraychas, by the opening. I think it's a beferish picture what I saw today. I hate to be embarrassed.
This line of the Gemara would be the Makar for that. We didn't have that.
I sat down by Minchen Shayoshev and the guy had the book. It's a beautiful book from what's the name?
The whole Machlokes before is a riot to this, because the whole Machlokes was totally in the entrances. Why would it matter where you're coming from? The whole Machlokes about the Kronos is a riot to this. Why would it matter where you're coming from? Is what you're saying is true. Why would the Gemara discuss you're passing by different Kronos?
Because you're coming from the paraychas. You're coming from
the
paraychas.
So it's the same. You could have the same kasha in that Gemara.
What? No, if you're coming from the paraychas and you somehow get to the east corner, that's passing the west. You get the west side of the Mizbeach Hazav first, and then you hit the east side.
Right.
That doesn't matter where on the paraychas you're coming from. Whether you're coming from the opening or the middle of the paraychas, you have to pass the west to get to the east. Here, the problem is north and south.
And the south have a board.
Right.
By teacher,
What's the penalty, Tiago? You're in the paint for too long.
Yeah, but it's not. But we would go weiter, but this is not. These are not extracurricular kashas. Gershon's asking a very strong kasha shot in the Gemara. Right. I'm saying if he's not coming straight from the Kodesh Kodashim, we're saying he's coming from there. If that seems to us to be out of order, but I think that's the pshat. The mice, I think he's sprinkling it by the entrance. That would take care of the. Yeah. Anyways, okay. So the weiter. So 4 wide lines down. The kuli amamiyah heicha de gamron matanas de kronos. That wherever he finishes putting on the when he places the blood on the corners, hasam yoav al gagoy. Right there, he puts it on the roof. Right? Meaning wherever he ends up going around, whether he walks or he stands in the same place, but wherever his hand is, see, David, I don't know, Taka, with your kasha, because then it sounds like wherever his hand is, that's where he pours it. Look, could it be that he keeps his hands out and both hands out? Is that possible? And it's not, right, David, maybe that answers your kasha. You're saying maybe he holds the bucket here and he keeps putting his hand back and forth. Maybe he keeps the bucket and his hand on each corner. That's what's mashma from here now, right? And then he puts it on each corner, and then he immediately pours, right? Because here we're having a machlokes. Where does he pour? Where does he sprinkle the blood, right? So we're saying wherever he ends, that's what he does it. But right, but your kasha is what do you mean? If he pulls his hands back to get it from the bowl, so then he's not in that corner anymore. So it must be the bowl and his hand are in each corner, and wherever he is, that's where he ends up, either in the north or the south, and that's where he sprinkles. Anyway, so my time, why does he have to do it in the same spot? So makrava tiaru the kitshu, right? And he makes it tahar, and he's mekadesh it. Makom shekitshu sham tiaru. Wherever it is that you're going to make it kaddish by putting the blood on each corner, sham tiaru, there he's going to make it tahar. Okay.
Yaakov, there's some good pictures in the chat that look very good clarity.
Yeah. Okay.
I just put.
Good. I think that's what I saw today. Right. I think that's what I saw. These pictures from these are excellent pictures. Thank you. Yeah. There's a one where he sprinkles it on the paroiches. It's probably not on this daf. It's probably on a previous daf. And he seems to be standing by the doorway. Right? Okay. Whatever it is. Let's see about it. So what did he do with the leftover blood? After he's done all this process of smearing the blood, sprinkling the blood, and whatever's left, he pours it on the base of the west side of the Mizbeach. Yeah, the Amar Krok, as the pasuk says, "There's kol adam hapar yishbach." All the blood of the par he pours. V'chinafik bahu paga bereisha. And when he goes out from the Kodesh HaKadoshim, right? Bahu paga bereisha. No, I'm sorry, from the Heichel, he hits that corner first. So that's why he does it. That's why he does it in the west corner. And the Mizbeach HaChitzon, he pours it on the south side. Tarabanan. Yisod Mizbeach, what's the Yisod of the Mizbeach? The base of the Mizbeach. Say Yisod Raimis. That's the south base. Sa'atayim Yisod Raimis. Does it really mean the south? Yisod Maravis. Does it mean the west? So Amrit. So we say Yilmad Yiridasim in Hakevesh Litziyasim in Haifa. Let's learn out when he comes off the ramp of the outer Mizbeach, right? We're going to learn out the way he comes out from going out from the Heichel. When he goes out of the Heichel, right? So what does he do? He puts the blood right there on the part that's closest to him. That's which part is that? That's the west. He hits the west side when he comes out of the Heichel. So also coming off the kevesh is also in the part that's closest to him. And which one is that? Which one is it? That's the south base. Fine. Tani Rabbi Shmuel right? Rabbi Shmuel says both the Mizbeach Hazov, meaning Mizbeach HaPnimi, and the Mizbeach HaChitzon, they both get poured on the west part, the west side. Rabbi Shimon Yochai they both do it on the south side. So Bishlam Rabbi Shmuel Kasavar Yilmad Sasam Mifurish. So Rabbi Shmuel holds that you learn out a case that's Sasam, which is unclear, which doesn't say Beferish, from a case that says it says it Beferish, right? Meaning the outer Mizbeach doesn't say where you pour it, right? But the Mizbeach Pnimi, it does say, right, which it says towards the Heichel. So miilah, we're going to learn out the one that doesn't say Beferish in the Torah from the one that says Beferish. My time, but why does Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai say that both pourings go on the south side? Because he held that the opening to the Heichel was on the south side. Fine. So then Tana Dvei Rabbi Shmuel, but Dvei Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So this is interesting here. The Tana Dvei Rabbi Shmuel in the Beis Medrash of Rabbi Shmuel, they learned like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, right? Meaning, we just had a Machlokes, Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, if it goes on the west side or it goes on the south side. And then we have some Tanaim who are saying that Rabbi Shmuel, in Rabbi Shmuel's Beis Medrash, they were learning like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, right? So Zev Yisai Raimis, they learned that both of them go on the south. The Simonich, in the Simon to remember that is Mashchua Gavre LeGavra. The men pulled the other men to them, which means that Rav Shimon Bar Yochai was pulled, his shita, his opinion was pulled to the Beis Medrash of Rabbi Shmuel. Yeah, fine. Okay, new sugya now.
Wait, is this saying that Rabbi Shmuel was chayzer?
That's what it sounds
That's
like.
what it means.
I don't know if he meant it meant he was chayzer.
Rashi says he was chayzer, according to the shita.
Well, that's what. But
they learned into him that he was chayzer. Rashi says chazar by Rabbi Shmuel.
Yeah, but we don't know for sure if he was
right.
chayzer.
And there in Tana Debay Rabbi Shmuel, in Tana Debay Rabbi Shimon,
they're going to say
they learned that he was chayzer. Yeah,
right. Meaning, but they don't. Nobody knows if for sure Rabbi Shmuel was taka chayzer, but that's what his talmidim held, that he was chayzer. Right? Yeah. Okay. So Zok the Gemara Vayta. So then, what's the next thing that happens after he pours all the blood? So then it gets washed out of the Beis Hamikdash into the Amma, and it goes out to the, what do you call it? To the what was the name of it? The Kidron, Nachal Kidron. Yeah. So Tana Rabbanan Moil, and then we said that and then they sold the blood to the farmers for manure. Well, not manure, whatever it's fertilizer, right? So, and they said, and if a farmer used the blood without paying for it, then he's over on miilah. So, Tanaraban, Moil and Bedamim, Divir Meir. There is such a thing as miilah. Miilah again is using hektish without permission, right? Without buying it, without being paid. So, is there miilah on blood or not? So Rameir holds there is miilah on blood, which is mashma from our Mishnah, because we said that the gardeners have to pay for it. Reb Shimon, there is no miilah by blood. Yeah. So the Gemara says on Amud Beis now, Adkan loy pligi ela midirabnan. Till here, there's no Machlokes, only according to Rabbanan, meaning not according to Rabbanan, midirabnan. Midaraisa ain't miilah behen, but midaraisa there is no such thing as miilah, meaning it's exera de Rabbanan that there's miilah on blood, because midaraisa there is no miilah. Midaraisa, if you ended up using blood for an improper reason, then you're not going to be over on anything. It's only the Rabbana, but it's a machlokes whether it's the Rabbana. How do you know? So Amar Ula, the Gemara is going to bring 3 pesukim now that deals with the blood. Amar Kra lochem. It says in the pasuk lochem shelochem yeh. It should be yours. So meaning that it's going to be yours. Yeah. So that means there's no miilah on it. Meaning the Torah is telling you there's no miilah because you could use the blood. Torah Shimon Tana lechaper. It says for a kapara. Lechapara nasati v'loyla miilah. I gave it to you the blood to be a kapara and not for miilah. Right? Meaning we know that the kapara for a korban is not done until the blood is sprinkled. It's all totally in the blood. So Hashem is saying that the blood is meant to be a kapara for you, not something that's going to be a liability to you. Right, so that's the second pasuk. For Rabbi Yochanan Amar, and Rabbi Yochanan says Amar Kra. The pasuk says that's not very common that you get a Rosh Tevis like that. Yeah, Amar Kra. Who? It says really means he, but it means for the blood. The which means lifnei kapara kilachar kapara. Before getting to kapara is like after the kapara. Malachar kapara ain't by miilah. Just like once there's a kapara, meaning once the blood is already sprinkled on the mizbeach. Then the avodah is done, so there's no longer miilah. We know that once the avodah is done in the Beis Hamikdash, anytime you already did what you needed to do, there's no miilah. So aflifnei kapara ain't by miilah. So then even before kapara, meaning even before the blood was sprinkled, if somebody inadvertently used the blood, there ain't by miilah. So Gemara says, why? Who says you should say that? Maybe the blood after the kapara is lifnei kapara. Just like if you use the blood before it's sprinkled on the mizbeach, there is miilah. So maybe after the kapara is also miilah. So Gemara answers, there's no such thing as something that the mitzvah is already done and then you're over on miilah. No such thing, right? So since the mitzvah is already done with the blood, once the blood is sprinkled, it's not possible to have miilah on it. So therefore, you have to compare the after the kapara was done to the before the kapara, and therefore, we're comparing after kapara to the before kapara. Just like after the kapara, meaning after the blood was sprinkled, there's no miilah. So to before it was sprinkled, there's also no miilah. Okay, let's finish to the Mishnah because tomorrow we try and do more. It's just a continuation of this Gemara, unless the Olam is burnt out from all this blood already. No, yes, no. Okay, let's try it. So the Gemara says V'loi, and there's no such thing as a case where you're over on miilah once the mitzvah is done. V'arei Chumas Hadeshen, you have the Chumas Hadeshen, which we had way back. Right, the Chumas Hadeshen is twice a day. They put the coals. The Kohen Gadol put the coals on the floor, right? And he sprinkled the ketairos on top of the coals. And then the halacha is that he has to leave the coals on the floor. Nobody can do anything with it. Oh, the mitzvah's already done. Mitzvah's already done. Why can't you do anything with it? So clearly there is such a thing as miilah even after the mitzvah is done. So that's what it says. V'loi v'arei Chumas Hadeshen. You have the Chumas Hadeshen. So the Gemara answers Chumas Hadeshen or Big Day Kahuna Shnei Ksuvan Abayin Ke'echad. Because Big Day, the Chumas Hadeshen and Big Day Kahuna, we know that the Big Day Kahuna once he did the avodah with the white, the linen garments, right, from the Yom Kippur. So there was a shita, we're going to see Chalkim in a minute, that said that nobody could ever use those garments anymore, right? Oh, it was already done. The mitzvah was already done. What should be the problem with anybody using the garments? So therefore, you see that Chumas Hadeshen and Big Day Kahuna both tell you that you're not allowed to use it even after the avodah is done. So that's called Shnei Ksuvan Abayin Ke'echad. When you have two pesukim telling you the same thing, that means you can't learn anything out of them. Because if the Torah meant that you should learn it out and say it by one of them, and then we'll use all other scenarios to be learned out from it. What is it saying the same halacha in two different places? So it's saying it in two different places to tell you that specifically those two places and nothing else. So the Gemara says, that's going to according to Rabbanon, says you leave them there. That tells you that you need to, it goes into shemus, the Kohen Gadol's clothing. But the Big Day Kahuna from Yom Kippur are roy for a Kohen Hedge. It's the same clothing, right? It's the 4 Big Day Lovin that the Kohen Gadol wore on Yom Kippur was the regular standard uniform of every regular Kohen the whole year. So Reb Daisa held that you are allowed to use it. So then it's not Shnei Ksuvan Abayin Ke'echad. So Gemara changes. It says Chumas Hadeshen ve'egla rufa Shnei Ksuvan Abayin Ke'echad, because the Chumas Hadeshen and the egla rufa are 2 Ksuvan Abayin Ke'echad. Shnei Ksuvan Abayin Ke'echad ein miilah. What's egla rufa? That's if you find somebody dead near the outskirts of the city and nobody knows how he died or anything like that. So the zakanim of the city have to come and snap the neck of a cow. And then that cow, you do nothing with it. You have to bury it, even though the mitzvah is already done. So why can't you use it? Once you snap the head, why can't snap the neck? Why can't you use it? So must be because there's such a concept of miilah even after a mitzvah is done. So it's Shnei Ksuvan Abayin Ke'echad, the Chumas Hadeshen and that. So the Gemara says, fine. So that's good according to Ma'adam. It says that 2 Ksuvan Abayin Ke'echad you don't learn out from. But according to the one that says that you do learn it out, what are you going to say? So what it says, Tremi Ute Ksivi, there's 2 miutim. It says twice to come to exclude something. So what are those exclusions? Right? The Chumas Hadeshen and the Egla Rufa. And Memela, those are the only 2 that still have miilah even after the mitzvah is done. Because what does it say? It says V'samai, right? And he places it. It should have just said V'sam. Why does it have to say V'samai? That tells you that this is only negeya to ashes and that's it. And ha'arufa, right? It says an extra hey. Why does it just say egla arufa? Why it says ha'arufa? That tells you only the egla arufa has a problem with using it even after the mitzvah was done. So fine. Okay, so then one last thing. So Gemara says V'hani tlasi kroi b'dam lamali. We just said on the previous Amud, we said there were 3 words that we learned out from. What were they again? It was lochem, lechapara, and hu. So why do you need 3 separate pesukim by dam? So we say chad l'mutem. And noisa one says that there's no noisa on blood, meaning if you leave over blood overnight. So if you leave over meat overnight, there's an isser noisa. You leave over blood, that's not a problem. So chad l'mutem miilah, and one tells you that there's no miilah on blood. Chad l'mutem mituma, and one comes to exclude it from tuma. Meaning that if somebody tameh eats a carbon, so he's chayiv. But if somebody tameh eats the blood, he's not going to be chayiv al tameh blood. He's going to be chayiv al the drinking the blood. He's not going to be chayiv al tuma, the tuma of the blood. What about pigel? Right, pigel is if the kohen has in mind when he's shechting it that he's gonna eat the carbon not when he's not allowed to, or he's gonna shecht it shalei b'mekayma, or he's gonna eat it shalei b'mekayma. So what about blood? If you eat that animal that was pigel, meaning the kohen had the wrong thoughts, then you eat that animal, you are chayiv karas. So what happens if you eat the blood of that animal? So that's not an issue, but we don't need a pasuk for that. We don't need a pasuk to exclude it. The Tanan kol sheyesh matirin, anything that makes matirin, right, which is blood, because blood is the thing that matters all the karbanos. The carbon is not considered done until the blood is sprinkled. Bein la de bein mizbeach, whether it's being matter people or the mizbeach, chayav and love mishum pigel. You're chayav for shum pigel, but dam atzmoi matter, and the dam itself is considered a matter. So since the dam is matter, therefore there's automatic no pigel on that. So the bottom line is that blood has 4 leniencies that the rest of the animal doesn't have. There's no naisar, there's no miilah, there's no tuma, and there's no pigel. All right. Have yourselves a good night.
Parrots, it's 3 seconds. I forgot the penalties, offense and defense, what the penalty is, but it's 3 seconds.
Yeah.
3 seconds. Wouldn't there be Kimler?
No, but that's on offense.
No, defense also can't be there for 3 seconds.
You sure? I thought they had a little longer.
I wouldn't, but I don't care about baseball anymore. I haven't watched it, so good.
Yeah. What do you say, Akiva?
Wouldn't there be kimle on the eating of this pigel? Like, how would you even be chayav on it for pigel? Aren't you already? Isn't there already a chiyuv on it? Inside, you can't eat blood.
Again, what are you asking?
Isn't there an isser to eat blood, Stam?
There's isser to eat blood? Yeah.
So which is what is the isser? Is it Stam alav? Meaning, wouldn't there already be an isser for getting the isser that potentially could come about through pigel? The Gemara is saying that there might be a tzad that there be another isser on it. If you create pigel on it.
Again, what I don't understand. What are you asking? You're saying since the blood is also to
anyways, like what we're creating another isser. Potential isser. Like what are you doing? If you're mefaglet, right? You're creating another isser on top of the isser of stam eating blood. What would the havamina be if we said that there was pigel?
The carbon.
Are you saying out the carbon or it's eating the pigel?
No, whatever it is, it would possibly. If it becomes pigel, it passes the carbon.
You're saying out the carbon itself.
That's the whole chiddush that the dam is the matir. Dam can never be pigel.
Yeah.
That's why you don't need over here a miyot over here because anyway, dam is a matir.
And if you have 3, according to Sad that Trey Ksuva and Bani Kacha and Malamdin, if you have 3 pesukim here, would that be mavata?
I was wondering about that. That. But I guess
there are other shittas. There are other shittas that hold even shleishik ksuvim. So I'm not sure. I don't know. I think there are other shittas about shleishik ksuvim. Bani Kacha.
Anything
no,
more
but I
than
think,
one.
but the other man was going to say it's only snake suvim. The other man was only going to say it's snake suvim. No.
It could be. I don't know. I don't know how to darshan. That's my refrain.
I guess you don't have a future as a rabbi then.
I could still ask her lace stops.
I hear that. Yeah.
2 is the same difference as 3.
No.
The chiluk is that 1, if it's only 1, then it's there l'lamid al klal kulay. Once you have more than 1, then it's not l'lamid al klal kulay, because each one is its own yitzia. From the
I don't know why. I thought there was a sheet out there about 3 soon. I don't know, but there's ein melamdin and melamdin is shiloh of 3 is also the same side. I don't know.
There is a Gemara about Nivamas, I think, but I think everyone is masking the 3 is the same as 2 in the end.
I don't know. Could be. I don't know. It's not just Yivamis. I never learned Yivamis. I'm pretty sure I saw it other places also.
I'm sure it's in other places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Fine.
All right,
Harris, what
see,
are you calling me about? I tried you back. I got voicemail.
No, I had a guy call me. His kid was on a trip when I was on the phone with him, and they had a question of where do we have that they stopped the rain for somebody in the Torah or in the Gemara? Where did they stop the rain for somebody during the drought?
Yeah, that's what's it called?
I could have sworn we had it in the Daf a couple of days ago.
We did. Right. Yeah. It's Taka. We did. Right.
I said, wait a minute, that was in the Daf a couple of days ago. I remember I was catching up and I read it, so that's why it's in my brain.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to know who it was.
I hear. Yeah. You don't remember what was the
No,
name
but
of him?
I got the answer from somebody else. It was Reb Hanania ben Doisa.
Right. Right.
So,
I hear you. All right.
all right, I'll speak to you.
Zagazim. Good night.
You can now walk away.